Capulani Flores, a grade 12 student under the section Einstein. So for today's discussion, I will tackle about sampling techniques and the types of the sampling techniques, which is probability and non-probability sampling. First, let's talk about sampling techniques. When we say sampling techniques, we are talking about the method on how to get our sample that came from to our population. Let's define it. When we talk about population, it was the entirety of the group including all the members that form a set of data. Example if this is isang school, isang city, or isang barangay, and so on. If the population was the entirety of all members, our sample naman is contain a few members of the population. Kumbaga, we are getting our sample. Then the purpose of this, why we get our sample, is to represent the characteristic of the whole population. So that we are going to discuss the first type of sampling technique. It was the probability sampling. And probability sampling is a sampling technique where a teacher set a selection of a few criteria and chooses member of the population randomly. In other words, probability sampling have a process so that the member of our population have a chance of being selected because it involves principle of randomization. With that, let us discuss the four basic type of probability sampling. Number 1 is simple random sampling. Number 2, cluster sampling. Number 3, systematic sampling. And the number 4 is stratified random sampling. Under the probability sampling, let me explain the simple random sampling. In simple random sampling, it is reliable method of obtaining information where every single member of population is chosen randomly, which is every member of a study has an equal chance of being selected. Sa paggamit ng sampling technique na ito, para lamang tayo nagdo-draw lot sa pagpili ng sample kaya napakadali. Because of this manner of the selection, this is the most frequently used type of probability sampling technique. Okay, let's move on. The second type of probability sampling is cluster sampling. Cluster sampling is a method where the researcher divided the entire population into section or cluster that represent the population. Clusters are identified and included in a sample based on demographic parameters. Okay, let me read the scenario. So, you are interested in the average reading level of all the 7th grader in your city. It would be very difficult to obtain a list of all 7th grader and collect data from a random sample spread across the city. You must first begin by clearly defining the population you wish to study. Then you must divide your sample into cluster. This is the most important part of the process. The quality of your cluster and how will they represent the larger population determines the validity of your results. Each cluster should have a similar distribution of characteristic as the distribution of the population as a whole. There is no overlap because each student attends only one school. Then randomly select cluster to use as your sample. After that, you then conduct your study and collect data from every unit in the selected cluster. Another type of probability sampling is systematic sampling. It is used to choose sample member of a population at regular interval. It requires the selection of the starting point for the sample and sample size that can be repeated at regular interval. So this is how to use the systematic sampling. Look at the picture. I have a population of 12. Let's say na 12 respondent ito, and now we're going to set an interval, and that is 3. So let's say for every sample or for every third sample, that would be our respondent. At tayo rin mismo ang magsiset ng ating starting respondent by random chance. So let's say na nag-start tayo sa 2. Then for every third sample, yun yung ating next respondent. So let's count. 1, 2, 3, so 5. 1, 2, 3, so 8. 1, 2, 3, 11. So ganyan lang kadali kasi meron tayong fixed interval para sa pagpili ng ating respondent, and that is how to use the systematic sampling. And the next but not the least, stratified random sampling. It is a method in which the researcher divided the population into a smaller group that do not overlap but represent the entire population. So let me read the example. Assuming the population of junior high school student in Sbaltan National High School is 1,000. Use this population to make stratified random sampling. So given naman sa ating strata or grade level ang bawat population natin. So meron tayong 300, 270, 310, and 120, and a total of 1,000. Next, we're going to do first is to get the desired sample size para sa population na 1,000 using the Sloven formula. So this is the formula of Sloven. Small n is equals to big N divided 1 plus big N multiplied by E squared. So for today's problem, we use a margin of error of 5%. 5%. Or in decimal, it could be 0.05. So, i-apply na natin. Our population is 1,000 divided 1 plus 1,000 multiplied by 0.05 squared. Then copy the 1,000 over 1 plus 1,000 and hanapin po natin ang 0.05 squared, and the answer of this is 0.0025. So another step, copy ulit natin ng 1,000, then bring down the 1 plus, and then we're going to multiply the 1,000 to 0.0025, and the answer is 2.5. So copy ulit the 1,000 and add the 1 plus 2.5, and the answer is 3.5. Next step, we're going to divide the 1,000 to 3.5, and the total answer is 285.7, or in a whole number, it could be 286. So, meaning to say, sa 1,000 na population natin, ang kukunin lang natin doon na respondent ay 286. So, pero paano natin malaman yun sa buong population? Meron na tayong per grade level. So, ang ating next step naman is to get the sample from each grade level, which is, ito ang process naman. Sa problem na ito, ang sample size ko is 286. Now, we're going to do, dahil nakuha na natin yung sample size na 286, itong 286 at lahat ng population na ito ay i-divide natin sa 1,000. So, ganito ang mangyayari. 300 divide 1,000. 1,000 divide 1,000 divide 1,000. Imo-multiply naman natin siya doon sa desired sample size, which is 286. So, ganito ang mangyayari. 300 divide 1,000 times 286. Then times 286. 286. 286. Then 300 divide 1,000 multiply by 286, the answer is 85.8. And 270 divide 1,000 multiply by 286, the answer is 77.22. And 310 divided 1,000 multiply by 286, the answer is 88.66. 66. And the last, 120 divide 1,000 multiply by 286, the answer is 34.32. So, pag itotal po natin itong 85.8 plus 77.22 plus 88.66 plus 34.32, the total could be 286. Pero wala naman kasing respondent na kalahati. Or 0.8, something, 0.22, 0.66, and 0.32. So, kailangan na natin muna silang ilipat sa whole number. So the 85.8 could be 86, 77.22 is still 77, 88.66 being 89, and 34 still 34. So kapag pinag-add natin ang 86 plus 77 plus 89 plus 34, still equal yan siya ng sample size, which is 286. So, ganyan i-apply ang stratified random sampling. Kumuha tayo ng sample from each grade level or stratum, kaya tinawag na stratified random sampling. Let us proceed to another type of sampling technique. It was the non-probability sampling. This sampling is not a fixed or predefined selection process. This makes it difficult for all population elements to have an equal opportunities to be included in a sample. The non-probability sampling, it's the opposite of probability sampling. In addition, the type of sampling technique relies on the subjective judgment of the researcher. One of the type of non-probability sampling is convenience sampling. Under the sampling, the sample elements are selected from the population based on their availability on the convenience of the researcher. Ibig sabihin, ang pagpili ng researcher sa kanyang mga respondent ay nakadepende sa kanilang availability at sa kung paano hindi mahirapan ang ating mga researcher. The next one is judgmental or purposive sampling. The discretion of the researcher form judgmental or purposive. The researcher purely consider the purpose of the study along with the understanding of the target audience. Sa paggamit nito, kailangan lang naman natin mag-set ng specific criteria. Like for example, if they're based on age, let's say na the age bracket is 18 to 21. That's why only respondent lang na pasok dun sa ating age bracket lang ang pipiliin nating mga respondent. Snowball sampling is a sampling technique that researchers apply when the subjects are difficult to trace. So, sa paraan na ito, maghahanap lang tayo ng iisang respondent na tinatawag nilang K-informant. At yung respondent na yun ang magre-refer sa atin ng iba pang mga respondent na pwede nating isama sa ating research. Quota sampling. The selection of member in this sampling technique, it happened based on a preset standard. In this case, as the sample form based on a specific attribute, the created sample will have the same qualities found in the total population. Kapag ito ang ating gagamitin, merong iset na limitation. For example, pwede nating i-divide ang isang population in terms of by place, education level, income at iba pa. Ngayon, ang population natin ay ating i-divide into groups at ang mga sample ay kukunin natin sa bawat group para ma-meet natin ang quota.